My name is Mike Stangel. I'm the Executive Director of Facilities for Green Bay Schools, so I oversee most of the building, or all the buildings in the district, and projects like this where we're looking at building the new Baird School. So as you're all aware, last April, the school district passed a referendum, and a good portion of that referendum was to build a new Baird School. We've determined that the existing school just isn't meeting our needs anymore. So the first thing we had to look at is how could we build a new school, plus still educate students here while that was being done. So I'll step back. So then what we did after we had our referendum passed is we interviewed architectural firms, and we hired Bray Architects they have offices in Sheboygan and Milwaukee. They're one of the architectural firms in the state that does a lot of schoolwork. So they've done hundreds of school projects over the last 50 plus years. So anyway, we have representatives from Bray, which we'll introduce in a short time, which will give us an overview of the conceptual plans for the site and the building. So since that process, as we spent last spring, we had a meeting like this, asking community people and staff to give us input on what should happen. So we looked at taking that input, what we need today to provide the type of educational spaces to provide, the students with the classes and to educate them, with today's modern ways. So anyway, during the summer, we have meetings all summer long with staff. We've met with the principals here, people from district staff, and have given directions to Bray. They have come up with numerous different designs and have refined those designs. But the designs that you see tonight are not the final designs. They're still in working progress, so there will be changes as those designs are refined. So what I'm going to do now is turn over to Agatha and Steve. They can introduce themselves from Bray Architects to kind of give you a recap. After that, we'll open up to questions and get input. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Well, I'm Steve Kunin. I'm a principal and architect with Bray Architects.
I'm Agatha Sonderberg. I'm a project team leader at Bray Architects.
And thank you for coming tonight. We're really excited to present the very preliminary plans. We're interested in getting your feedback and your comments, and we're here to answer questions, as Mike said. But I think what we'll do first is we're going to take you through kind of the where we are to date in the designs. We've got some plans that we have presented to the staff, and I think it's really coming along. And the way we did this, we usually start with the site, so we're going to do that, and then I'm going to turn it over to Agatha, and she's going to walk you through the floor plans, and then we'll open up to questions. So, this is the proposed site, and you're right now in the site. This building is located right around here, and the school district actually owns the eastern part of the project, which is this kind of dividing line here. So when we looked at the site and where to build this new building, we were kind of constrained because obviously we need to build this. We needed to build a new building before we tear the old building down because it needs to be operational. And we thought, what if we looked at the site as being this entire site? It meant we had to go to the city and present that to them to see if we could maybe locate the building somewhere else on the site. We also saw the opportunity of that Baird Creek Conservatory back there. The idea of bringing the building back into that conservatory, we thought could be an opportunity for the students. Plus, it would push the building back and open up the kind of the fields and such to the community. So that's what we look at, and I think that's the direction that we're moving now. The city has agreed to do this, so we're looking at placing the building as close to the conservatory as we can get. Now you'll probably notice that there's a new road that's gone in. That came in after we actually started the project, but we know that we need to kind of respect that. So we'll go as tight as we can to that new driveway, but we'll still have plenty of views out of the building into that conservatory. So the other thing that pushing the building does, it allows us to get a nice long drive in here. parent drop-off space. So the parents have this entire area here to queue up, to drop their kids. The kids can get out of the cars and get into the school without having to cross traffic. And so on the, over on the north side, this would be where the buses would come in. So it's completely separate from the parent drop-off. And the kids, again, once they get off the bus, they come in right through here, past, you know, they make their way into the main entrance here. So we really felt that pushing the building back onto the site, you know, just from a building standpoint, and also from a safety and security standpoint, to get that building back, give the parents much more drive space and use the buses, take the buses separated. And then the parking would be kind of in the center here between the two exit and egress space. And then we're showing a new baseball field, a soccer field, the playground space would be kind of in this area, and then a hard play area here. So the kids can get from the building to the play, again, without crossing any streets, any traffic, and that sort of thing. The existing tennis courts would remain, parking back here would remain, and then, of course, the front of the building here would be, during the design, we would create probably more green space there. Right now, we're just showing it as concrete space, but that has yet to be developed. But this is the concept, and I'm going to turn it over to Agatha now to kind of walk you through the plan.
So before we get into the plan that everyone's anxious to see that, we just want to kind of set the stage for the process of getting to actually shaping space around some of these ideas. So one of our initial meetings with the district, which included district leaders and some of the principals of the schools that we'd be affecting, we each had a visioning session with each of those groups. And what that meant was we brought in a big giant worksheet, and it was gridded out into 9 categories. And then we wrote on top of those categories.
You're talking a little bit fast.
I tend to do that.
And slow.
I'll try to slow down.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
When you turn your head away, then we lose what you say.
sure, I will face you, our audience. We developed this worksheet, and there are kind of 9 main categories on the worksheet, kind of getting to all the main parts of the building. So there's things like athletics, classrooms, the resource spaces, the cafeteria. Kind of gridded those out and made representatives from each of those groups all around the table, kind of giving us feedback about what those spaces mean to them. Without thinking about a building, what does it mean to have flow in and out? What does it mean to have natural light? What do the group sizes look like? What are the activities taking place in all of those? And from that, we kind of got to these themes of what the visioning of this new Baird building will be. So if that's something like our learning signature and our expectation, that's sort of what we talked through. We heard a lot of things about family, about nature, about this neighborhood. There's a lot of cultural diversity here that we'd like to celebrate. Mr. Sheehan had a very nice quote about students at Baird are, we're trying to, let me see if I can say, forming individuals but I'll use my pointer. And again, the idea here to keep in mind that these are preliminary, and we are, next week we have the opportunity to be in front of a large amount of staff to kind of get into the specifics of all the spaces and the needs therein. So you'll see that information repeated there, but the first floor is on the right-hand side, the second floor is on the left. It's a two-story building, currently as is being considered. And here, which is aligned to kind of the center of the parent drop-off, so that's here on the site plan, is the main secure entrance. So any visitor coming in, comes inside, gets out of the elements, but are still being buzzed in to get through to the reception and then to the rest of the school. So that is right here. The pod then to the south of that is the administrative pod, so that's the principal, the assistant principal, conference rooms, all of those functions would be housed there. Then we have a main circulation spine, kind of bringing the building together here. We very simply have the 5K kindergarten and the 4K kindergarten nearby the entrance, which is one of the things that we've really kind of brought together. And the kindergarten rooms would have their own amenities like extra storage and private toilet rooms for those smaller students. And that would be one of the only unique academic pods where the rest are the ones that I described with as much flexibility as possible. And then we get the main corridor, we have a special education area, so we've got rooms like a room for autism, for ID, and all the other needs that we presented here. And what's important to note is that we've got an elevator located right there, and then kind of two main public stairways, so easy communication up and down. As we kind of keep going here, we've got that community room that I've mentioned previously, so a larger space kind of for gathering or for waiting if you're going to use some of the community partner facilities. And that's directly adjacent to a cafeteria with a serving kitchen, and then the gymnasium kind of tucked up in the north end. So the gym, that athletic component, would have a kind of a presence on the street, which kind of gets back to this Triangle Sports area and speaks to the themes therein. And then on the other side of that main vertical circulation spine are all of the academic pods. What's unique about that, and what we're really excited about, is their relationship to the Conservancy in that area that Steve was pointing out on the left side of the plan. So on the west side of the plan where all the trees are, there's opportunities for overlooks and learning and views that way. So that's why we concentrated the academic pods that way. So these grades, again, could be interchangeable, but just for the sake of accounting, we've got the first grade pod and the second grade pod, and then on the second story, we've got third, fourth, and fifth. We have some mechanical space all the way up to the north here. Some opportunities, this just simply means this would be a taller, popped-up space, as a cafeteria typically is. We've got two flex rooms, which could be classrooms, but they don't belong to a single academic pod, but the desire was for flexibility if there were a bubble population or other needs in there in the school. There would be a space for that, a few more special education spaces, and then we've got kind of showpiece library tucked up on the second floor above the volume of the main entrance. We talked through that as if this building is a hub for the community, the library is the hub within the building. So kind of thinking about what the identity of that meant. I have close-ups of a typical academic pod, and again, these are in progress yet, but generally what's important to note, so this one would be like a first through fifth grade pod. There would be 4 classrooms, a shared resource space, a connection to the story above, and then the lockers would kind of act as a buffer. And again, we're still in the process of getting feedback from staff and moving some of these big pieces around, these are the bones of it so far. It's also important to know that each pod then would have its own access to toilets just outside, and it would also be able to be locked off for security, for sound, for any needs that are not kind of severed off. And then this is the 4K, 5K academic pod, which is similar with just the need for the adjustment of the
directly south of that school plan. There are several of us here in the condominiums,